We now turn our attention to how to subtract mixed numbers from one another. Now I'm going to do two examples, one in which there is no borrowing and the second in which we are going to have a borrow that we have to take care of. So first, suppose I have 5 and 5/6. I'm going to subtract from that 3 1/2. Now let's make it 2 1/2. Again, I draw the dashed line between the whole numbers and the fractions to separate those parts out. Starting with the fractions, I can see that the common denominator I need in this case is 6, so I need to multiply the numerator and the denominator of the 1/2 by 3. Gives me 3/6. 5/6 of course stays the same, and I can easily see that there is a subtraction that can be done. 5/6 minus 3/6 is 2/6. I now come over to the whole number parts. 5 minus 2 is 3. However, I can reduce the fraction part to 1/3, right? I'm dividing this by 2 and dividing this by 2. And again, I'm now going to put the pieces together. My final answer is 3 1/3. Okay, pretty straightforward. Notice in this case when I did subtraction, I started with the fraction parts first rather than the whole number parts, because in this case, the fraction parts could be problematic, as I will see in my next example. So now let's take a look at the following. Suppose instead I take 5 1/2 and I'm going to subtract 3 5/6. Now again, I'm going to go ahead and separate the whole number and fraction parts. I'm going to start with the fractions to try and see if I can subtract 5/6 from 1/2. To do that, I need a common denominator again, so times 3 times 3. 1/2 is equal to 3/6. 5/6 of course is still equal to 5/6. And now we see there's a problem. I cannot subtract 5/6 from 3/6 because there aren't enough sixths to be able to do the subtraction. So what do? Well, it turns out what we're going to do is we're going to borrow 1 from the units, from the 5. We're going to borrow 1 from the 5. That then becomes a 4, and then the 3/6 becomes 1 3/6. So in other words, I'm just taking 1 from the 5, 5 minus 1 is 4, and bringing it over to join the 3/6. Now I still can't subtract 5/6 from 1 3/6, but what I can do is convert 1 3/6 very easily. 1 times 6 is 6, plus 3 is 9/6. And now I have an improper fraction that I can subtract 5/6 from. 9 minus 5 is 4. So I get 4/6 here. Coming over to the whole numbers, 4 minus 3 is 1. Notice that 4/6 can be reduced, so we do so. I'm going to divide the numerator and denominator by 2. I get 2/3. Remember, this is 1 plus that, and 1 plus 2/3 is going to be 1 2/3 as my answer. So in this case, we now see how to do a borrow when we're doing subtraction. When the fraction above is smaller than the fraction below, we can always do a borrow of 1, bring it over with the fraction, convert that into an improper fraction, and then do our subtraction as we are used to doing. And that's the end of that.